The rain poured relentlessly over the small town of Cedar Falls, Iowa, soaking the streets, the trees, and the ragged little car that sputtered and wheezed as it crawled along the empty road. In its driver's seat sat Mark Benson, a poor mechanic with oil-stained hands and a heart weighed down by the invisible burden of hopelessness. Every day he toiled at the local garage, fixing the cars of people who barely acknowledged his existence, beyond the payment he received for his labor. Life had always been a struggle, and yet Mark carried on with quiet resilience, holding on to the fragments of dignity life had left him. But on this particular evening, he had no idea that his life was about to change in a way he never could have imagined. It all began with a cruel joke. The affluent and often thoughtless employees at Greystone Motors had discovered Mark's unwavering humility and, in a moment of bored mischief, decided to set him up on a blind date with none other than the CEO's daughter, Vanessa Harper. They smirked over the plan, imagining the awkwardness, the humiliation, the laughable mismatch. "It'll be hilarious," they said to one another, not realizing that life sometimes has a way of turning a prank into a miracle. Vanessa Harper, known for her elegance, charm, and position as the daughter of the town's most powerful man, was not accustomed to normal life. She moved through her days surrounded by wealth, expectation, and carefully curated social interactions, yet deep beneath the polished surface, she carried a longing for something real, something genuine, something that couldn't be bought or arranged. That longing would be the very thing that would collide with Mark's world that night. The date was arranged at a modest diner, one of the few places in Cedar Falls that still retained warmth, not just in its heaters but in the spirit of the place. Mark arrived wearing a shirt he had borrowed from a friend, slightly too large and nervously wrinkled. He sat in the corner, hands clammy, heart hammering, convinced he was about to become the punchline of someone's joke. Meanwhile, Vanessa entered, radiating confidence, yet carrying a hint of curiosity in her eyes that made her seem almost vulnerable. The air between them was charged with tension, anticipation, and the weight of expectations neither fully understood. Before the first words could be exchanged, the other employees of Greystone Motors had hidden themselves in the shadows of the diner, watching, ready to snicker at Mark's discomfort. But what they witnessed instead was nothing short of extraordinary. Vanessa, without hesitation, smiled at Mark with a warmth so genuine it melted the ice around his heart. She didn't laugh at his nervous stammering or his slightly disheveled appearance. She simply said, "I like him." And with those 3 words, the diner seemed to stop breathing. Every hidden witness froze, their smug anticipation replaced with disbelief. Mark's heart skipped. The words were so simple, yet so profound. No one had ever looked at him like that, not with curiosity, not with kindness, not with an authentic spark that suggested he was more than his worn clothes or modest paycheck. Vanessa's gaze didn't carry judgment, it carried recognition. In that moment, the world outside the diner, the cruel jokes, the petty schemes, the invisible barriers that had confined him, ceased to exist. As they began talking, Mark found himself opening up in ways he never had before. He spoke about his childhood, about his father who had passed too soon, about the small victories and endless setbacks that defined his life as a mechanic. Vanessa listened, truly listened, her eyes never leaving his face, absorbing every word with a sincerity that left Mark stunned. The conversation flowed naturally, laughter mingling with pauses of reflective silence, creating a rhythm neither of them had expected from a blind date born out of mockery. The night wore on, and with every story exchanged, every shy smile, the invisible walls between them crumbled. Vanessa shared her own fears, her longing to be seen as more than just a CEO's daughter, her desire for authenticity in a world that constantly demanded pretense. Mark, for the first time in years, felt an unspoken connection to someone who seemed to see him. Not the car-smudged exterior, not the lowly job, but the person beneath. He laughed softly, incredulously at how a prank had led to something so real, so unplanned, so impossibly beautiful. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets of Cedar Falls glistening like a silvered mirror. The world seemed to have been washed clean, as if nature itself had decided to mark this improbable meeting. Vanessa reached across the table, gently resting her hand on Mark's. It was a small gesture, but it carried an enormity of meaning, acceptance, trust, and a quiet courage that neither of them had anticipated. The pranksters, still hidden, slowly realized the depth of the moment they had intended to mock. Their laughter was replaced with silence, awe, and perhaps a bit of shame. In trying to orchestrate humiliation, they had unwittingly created a story that would stay with Mark and Vanessa forever. They had turned a simple dinner into a turning point, a pivot of fate, where a poor mechanic and a CEO's daughter discovered that life sometimes rewards the humble and the sincere in ways no one can predict. Mark walked Vanessa to her car at the diner's small parking lot, the night quiet and still around them. The dim streetlights cast soft shadows over the scene, illuminating a world that felt suspended in magic. They lingered, reluctant to part ways, each aware that this night had shifted the trajectory of their lives. Vanessa smiled, her eyes glistening in the soft light, and whispered a promise that resonated deeply within Mark's soul. "I want to see you again." From that night forward, things began to change for Mark in ways he had only dared to dream. He continued working at the garage, but with renewed purpose, knowing that his life held more than the daily grind of survival. Vanessa became a constant presence, not as a symbol of wealth or power, but as a partner in genuine companionship. Together, they explored the simple joys of Cedar Falls, from quiet walks along the river to small-town festivals, discovering a world that neither had fully appreciated until they found it in each other. Mark's story became a quiet inspiration in the town. People who had once overlooked him now saw him with newfound respect, not because of the woman he was with, but because of the strength, kindness, and authenticity he had always possessed. Vanessa, too, found herself transformed, not by money or influence, but by the grounding reality of love and connection with someone who taught her the true meaning of seeing and being seen. The diner where it all began became a symbol of improbable miracles, a place where strangers could become confidants, and where a simple act of kindness, or perhaps a cruel prank, could reveal the extraordinary in the ordinary. Mark and Vanessa's story reminded everyone in Cedar Falls and perhaps beyond that life has a way of surprising those who remain open to its possibilities, even in the unlikeliest of ways. If you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the magic of genuine human connection, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps stories like Mark and Vanessa's reach more hearts. Months later, as snow began to fall gently over the town, Mark and Vanessa walked hand in hand through the quiet streets, laughing and sharing stories of the past, present, and dreams of the future. Mark looked at Vanessa, her eyes bright with warmth and authenticity, and realized that the life he had once thought was defined by struggle had been transformed by a single moment of bravery, honesty, and the simplest declaration, "I like him." It was not wealth, privilege, or status that had changed his life. It was love, pure and unadulterated, found in the most unexpected of places, and Vanessa had seen him, truly seen him, in a way the world had never bothered to. Their love became a quiet revolution, a testament to the truth that what matters most cannot be bought, manipulated, or faked. It must be earned through sincerity, courage, and the willingness to be vulnerable. As they reached the old bridge overlooking the river, Vanessa paused, her hand squeezing his. Mark felt the weight of a lifetime of struggle lift, replaced with hope, trust, and the unshakable belief that life, no matter how harsh or unfair, has a way of rewarding those who remain true to themselves. They watched the river sparkle under the moonlight, silent witnesses to a love that had grown from a cruel joke into something undeniably real. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Stories like Mark and Vanessa's remind us all that kindness, love, and authenticity are the forces that truly change the world. And before you go, take a moment to comment on how you think a single act of genuine courage can transform a life. It might inspire someone today. Mark and Vanessa continued to walk, their hearts full, their spirits lifted, carrying the lesson that life often rewards those who dare to be real, those who hold on to hope, even when the world seems indifferent, and those who remain open to the extraordinary, possibilities hidden within ordinary days. And for Cedar Falls, the tale of a poor mechanic and a CEO's daughter became a story that would be told for generations, a reminder that sometimes miracles come wrapped in the simplest, most unexpected packages.